Hey, welcome back to Matter of Fact. Today I got for y'all a tier list. Well, it's really a ranking, but it's easier to put it in a tier list. Just hit tier maker for it. But this is the division rankings. Obviously, the Super Bowl's next week, so this is like a way too early what I think it's going to look like in the regular season. This is going to go by like quarterbacks, coaching staff, roster construction, how the front offices operate. Because as you can see, the same trash teams, they typically have a terrible front office. So even if they have a good quarterback and they have some skilled players, some people on defense, sometimes the coaching staff could be cool too, and it doesn't matter. They can't get out of their own way. So let me just bring this up real quick. Boom. Here's the tier list. Here we go. Um, eighth through first, got all the teams here. Some classic logos. Some classic logos here. What we looking like? Let me move myself out of here. Move. All right, yeah, that's cool. That's perfect. That's perfect. All right, so we're going to go from eighth to first. Last place. This division is going to stay in turmoil. It's going to be anybody could really win this one. It's going to be the wait. We have why do we have 7 seeds again? Division. It's going to be the wait. They get a home playoff game to start off. Division. So this is going to be the NFC South. NFC South. The Bucks won 2 years in a row. Shout out to Baker. I like what they're doing over there. I think the whole Liam Cohen shit's overblown. Like, who cares? You know what I mean? You got a defensive head coach. You know you're going to lose coordinators. Who cares if he promised you this, that, and the third? If he was a trash coordinator or if you felt like the offense was the reason why you guys didn't make the playoffs, which you did, then he'd be out of there. You know what I mean? It's like at will employment. So stop whining. Go get yourself a new OC. It's not even February yet. Y'all going to be straight. The Bucks still going to be in the driver's seat, I think. Chris Godwin comes back. I think they retain him. Unfortunately, he had that injury, and they got Jalen McMillan. So even if Chris Godwin does go somewhere, seems like a pretty good replacement. Bucky Irvin, Rashad White, Sean Tucker seems like he has some juice. And then the defense could use some help in the secondary, but the front seven is pretty good, manned by Vita Vea. Levante David, he's performing like he's still in his 20s. They let go of Devin White. They kept the old head because the old head knows how to perform. I'm pretty sure the Philadelphia Eagles waived that guy. So, but yeah, the Saints are part of the main reason why I think they're going to be like the worst division because they're in no man's land. Derek Carr washed. His prime years are back in like 2021, around that time. You have Spencer Rattler there, but what is he? And then they're in cap hell. I think have the worst cap space. I mean, it opens up in like the 2027 season, I think. But why is that the case? Like, I don't blame Sean Payton for hitting the back door and getting out of there. I don't think he ever wanted to really get in the TV. I just think it would have been bad PR for him to just hit a new team and kind of give up on them. You know what I mean? Like, just let me get out of this dumpster fire real quick. But yeah, that. And then the Panthers, it's interesting with Bryce Young. I'm rooting for Bryce Young, like that last half of the season after he got benched and came back. I think Andy Dalton got in like a car accident or something. Check Bryce Young's phone and iCloud for that, by the way. But I do like what the Panthers got going over there. I like their head coach, Dave Canales, porn addict, former porn addict, Dave Canales. I like what they've got going on over there. They need another weapon. Xavier Leggett looks okay. Adam Thielen is still chugging along. Jartavius Sanders looks all right. Chuba Hubbard, great running back, had a great season. And then Jonathan Brooks, unfortunately, we didn't see much of him. in his rookie season. But I can see the Panthers edging this one out and getting there. But if the Panthers have a chance to win your division, of course you're the worst division, talent-wise, and overall, we're not expecting much from this division and whatnot. And then with the Falcons, I just don't believe in the Falcons like front office really. They've gone offense in the past like 5-6 drafts, and like it's the talents have been cool, but you've been in the top 10 for the past like 5-6 years. Drake London, are we looking at him like we are like a Malik Neighbors or even a Brian Thomas really? Like, yeah, Drake London's a cool wide receiver one, but then Kyle Pitts, you're pretty much the reason why tight ends are going farther back. You're pretty much the reason why Brock Bowers was there at 13 for the Raiders. You know, you got him at 4 of all things. Bijan Robinson, elite running back, but I mean, imagine if you got like a Jalen Carter. You kept him in Georgia. And I understand like hindsight, not really hindsight, but it's like revisionist history because the car crash accident, people that died, all that was a big deal back then. The character concerns, he's pretty unhinged. And I feel like he has a perfect spot there with the Eagles, a lot of Georgia players over there. And they just kind of have the infrastructure to house that wild animal. But imagine if you did get Jalen Carter, kept him here, and then 2 years later, you get a running back in like the second round in this deep running back class. I think that would have been better for you guys after, you know, before you got Bijan, Tyler Algier had a 1,000-yard rushing year, and it's not like he's an old head. You know, I mean, he's relatively young. I think he was that his rookie season or was that year 2? It was either his rookie season or year 2. I'm doing this off the cuff. I'll probably do this again after free agency and then around training camp after the draft. But that's why this is pretty off the cuff because, like, who cares? You know what I mean? We're just sitting here waiting for the Super Bowl. But, yeah, NFC North, yeah, man. I mean, if you're a Bucs fan, you feel pretty good about winning 3 years in a row. Probably the best front office in the division. Falcons don't believe in them. Saints out of here. Like this next year for the Saints is just waiting until the season's over where you have some cap space and you could do something. I mean, yeah, man. I'm seeing reports that the Falcons are interested in Malachi Starks, which he seems like I think I saw that they said that he's the best safety prospect on tape that they've seen in the past 10 years, which is cool, but leave it to the Falcons. It's a very Falcons pick. You know what I mean? Your defense is struggling. You know, Jesse Bates was a nice pickup, but your defense is struggling. You're looking for a premium position, like instead of getting edge rusher, which you probably should have done, or if you were going to get Michael Penix, maybe use that 180, 100 guaranteed on like a Christian Wilkins, or, you know, spend it on the defense and get that defense up, man. So, yeah, I could go on and on about this trash-ass division, but NFC North is number 8. Next up, where they at? 7th place, AFC South. Both the South teams, pretty trash. Obviously, the Titans have the number 1 pick for a reason. Lost to the Jags twice, I think once with Matt Jones, once with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, the Titans, it comes back to ownership. I think the person that owns the Titans, you know how ownership goes, it's really Nepo. And I'm pretty sure it's a woman. I should do some more research for this or confirmation because I'm pretty sure like everything I'm saying is like either on the money or close to it. But with them, it's just like they keep shooting themselves in the foot. So you get rid of the owner, or was it the GM that made the A.J. Brown trade, which I'm still pissed about as a Giants fan because what the fuck? I feel like they were in a prime position years back. Their identity felt like we have athletic freaks at every skill position. You had Derrick Henry, you had A.J. Brown, you had Jonnu Smith, who had a great season for the Dolphins this year, so he still has juice. And I think all they needed to do was keep that intact because you got to remember they were in the AFC Championship not too long ago. Like the NFL, that's why it's the best league in the country, in the world, because All it takes is a season or two. You saw that with C.J. Stroud and the Texans in this division, and you saw that with the Commanders. That's all it takes. But all it takes is 1 year to just kind of downward spiral, and now you're the number one overall pick. All those guys are gone in way better positions, even though the Dolphins isn't the best situation. But, I mean, Eagles are in the Super Bowl with A.J. Brown as the wide receiver one. Derrick Henry still, he almost had 2,000 yards. Ravens were this close to making it to the AFC Championship and playing the Chiefs to try to make it to the Super Bowl. And what are you left here with? Traylon Burks, that was supposed to be a replacement bust. Whether you want to say, oh, well, injuries, whatever. Well, when he was here, he wasn't looking that great. I know him more for his YouTube channel. So, Titans, sort of like the Saints, is the reason why they're so low. But besides that, the Colts, we don't know what we got with it. Oh, back to the Titans. And so you bring in Brian Callahan, right, with the new owner. You give the owner 1 year. You fire him in the offseason. You bring in a new owner. So now you have the owner-coach kind of mismatch thing going on, which is never good. And I'm curious to see what they do with this first pick. I have a feeling it's going to be my money's on Travis Hunter, but I could see it being Abdul Carter, and they could have like one of the best D lines in the league with Jeffrey Simmons and T'Vondre Sweat. That would be dope. And then maybe give Will Levis another chance. Maybe you feel like this isn't the time to take quarterback. I feel like with this new owner, he has no ties to Brian Callahan, right? So it's kind of like, look, bro, I don't really care about your job. I kind of want to bring my guy in anyway. We're not going to just take a quarterback because we're number one. This is y'all mess. I'm here to clean it up. And we're going to take best player available, which he sort of mentioned with the whole generational talent thing. A lot of the scouts and the pros at this don't think this is a special quarterback class, especially coming off the last one. So that tells me, I never understand, like, let's say it is smoke, right? Because there is a possibility that it is smoke. If you're the number one pick, why are you giving out smoke? And if you were to give out smoke, wouldn't you do that for the quarterback position so you have somebody to trade up and you could get some assets and trade back? Why make it seem like you're taking one of those guys? Is anyone trading up for Travis Hunter exactly? Like, the Patriots aren't really in a position to do that. The Jags shouldn't do it. I think they're in a prime position to take best player available. So I don't really get it. But let's move on to the rest of the teams. The Jags, Liam Cohen, we'll see how he does. The press conferences were awkward, but fuck it, right? They looked, they have some fight in them. That's all I can say about them. They had some fight towards the end of the season. And when you have a franchise quarterback, it's disappointing and how much he's kind of riding on his Clemson years. He is a franchise quarterback. He does have a playoff win. You do believe with, I don't know, man. The Jags are weird. It just seems like they should be better than what they were. And was Trevor Lawrence going to stop them from being the 5th overall pick? They'd probably still be in the top 10. Matt Jones looked all right. So I just don't really believe in him. It doesn't seem like Shad Khan really knows what he's doing. But it was a good coaching hire, and you could see that from Jags Twitter. They're hyped about it. They're flexing like just weird, bro. The Jags are weird. So then, honestly, if you wanted to flip these two divisions, it's kind of a toss-up for the worst division in the league going into this 2026 season. But just weirdness. And then with the Colts, like Shane Steichen, but, Anthony Richardson's still a question mark. We always knew he was going to be a project, but you just don't know. What's good with that? You know what I mean? I hope they go and get another pass catcher, probably a tight end. I think would be good for them. I mean, Downs is good. Donat Mitchell, I could see him being a good candidate for having like a bounce back, not really a bounce back, but having like a really good sophomore year for a receiver. I think the talent is there, but when it comes to him, they got him pretty late compared to where everyone thought he was coming from Texas, because he seemed real disinterested with the interviews, and just the draft process, a lot of red flags there. So that's a question mark too. Like, we just don't know. We don't know. It worked out for the Titans with Sweat. He fell down due to some character issues and whatnot, and he balled out. So we'll see what Mitchell does in his second year. But the question marks with the quarterback. You have a quarterback there. Out of these divisions, you're really only set on C.J. Stroud. Like Trevor Lawrence, I'm done. We got this guy. He's been underwhelming, and he's coming off an injury. We just don't know with the Jags. And then the Texans are the Texans. Texans looking great. 2 playoff wins, each of C.J. Stroud's first 2 years. And they put up a good fight against the Chiefs, man. This is one of the best defenses in the league we're talking about. So, the Texans are what allows them to be at the 7th spot. I think because I see them as a better, future, they have a better future, better quarterback, and a better roster than the Bucs. So I'll give them the edge in this one. All right, 6th place. Next up, we got the AFC East. Now, with the AFC East, the Bills are carrying, obviously. The Jets, I really like the hire with Aaron Glenn, former Jet. Seems like he'll be a culture setter. It's just the question marks with Aaron Rodgers there. Don't really know. Garrett Wilson seems like he wants to trade. The Jets are the Jets, right? So can they get a wild card spot? Can they do that? They have the talent. The defense, Robert Saleh's side of the ball was looking good before he got fired. Aaron Glenn's a defensive guy, so I think the defense bounces back. That was like a rash. I think it was a dumb firing. It didn't really make sense to me. But that's what I mean. Like the ownership with the Jags, the ownership with the Titans, the ownership with the Panthers. Panthers got the worst owner, but he's been kind of staying out of things. You want your owner kind of in the background and in the cut, really. The ownership with the Saints, they still haven't, when did they even win that Super Bowl, man? What was that, 2015, 2014, 2017? It's some of these teams, man. But with the Jets, lots of question marks. I like the hire with Aaron Glenn. What are you going to do with quarterback? You about to trade Garrett Wilson. It feels like they're always drafting a receiver, and they have a good, talented receiver, and they got to let him go before his rookie contract. A lot of movement at head coach, a lot of movement at quarterback. They won that game that cost them Trevor Lawrence. And say what you want about Trevor Lawrence, definitely way better than Zach Wilson, who's a third stringer at this point in his career. So question marks all over the Jets. With the Patriots, lots of promise there. Drake May, I wanted him for the Giants last year. Still sick about that, but we got some shit coming. Wrong list. We got some shit coming. But with the Patriots, they just lack talent all over the roster, really. I think they go Tet McMillan in the first round. If Travis Hunter's there, definitely Travis Hunter, but they need a wide receiver one over there, and I think they'll be all right, but they're a couple of years away, so they're still going to be, we're just looking for a jump up from 3 wins. Can we get to 6, 7 wins and go from there? But Drake May, they got a guy over there, and I do like what they're doing with Vrabel. I think he's perfect coach for the situation. Gerard Mayo, disaster. I know a lot of people like to bring race and whatnot into it, but I mean, he didn't do a good job as a head coach. What do you want from him? You know what I mean? Vrabel, a lot of familiarity there. Just coach up that defense right, draft well, get some weapons, and the Patriots, give them a year or two. I believe in Drake May, and I believe in Mike Vrabel, one of the better coaching hires or one of the better coaching candidates in this offseason, this coaching cycle. And then the Dolphins, I just don't believe in the Dolphins. The Tua situation is just too, he's just not. So, with Tua, it's tough. Tua's a tough kid, man. Tua's tough. It's just, what are we doing with these concussions? Is he going to be that guy? They just paid him but there's obviously a ceiling with this team and with Tua. He's not great in these cold weather places. As you see in the AFC, you got to be able to play in the cold. You got Buffalo, you got Baltimore. If Cincy makes a bounce back, you got Cincy. You got the Chiefs, you got Arrowhead, obviously. So this team just lacks toughness. Now, if I'm the Dolphins, what I would do is you need like a defensive like leader in there to lead that locker room because it seems like a locker room thing. They're just not tough. They're not tough enough. You know what I mean? You have Brian Flores in there, and obviously he was tormenting Tua and bullying him or whatever. But you get rid of him, all right, cool. He doesn't stick with the Vikings. Maybe he's better as a defensive coordinator, whatever. But then you have Vic Fangio, and on his way out, you have the players complaining about how tough he was and how much of a dickhead he was on them. And I don't see the Eagles complaining about him. You know what I mean? That was a great hire by the Eagles. So why it just seems like they just seem like a bunch of bitches over there. You need a strong presence in that locker room. Mike McDaniel just isn't going to be that guy. He kind of comes off like he'd be better as an OC, possibly. And even then, it seems like the league's kind of figured out what they're doing. Tua with a lot of these kind of like, it's kind of like a first read offense. Like the plays are really designed like you got to really follow this script. And it just seems like it kind of caught up with them, you know? Sort of like CJ Stroud's early sophomore slump. It seems like Mike McDaniel's his play calling. Obviously, Tua was out for a good chunk of the year. When he came back, the offense was back alive. But I don't know what you do with them. Hopefully, Tua can stay healthy. But they need to lay down the law there in Miami, man. Look at the Miami Heat. You can't let the city take over the locker room and the culture. So I feel like with the Miami Heat, what they did over there was like, look, I know we're in Miami, but we're not playing no games over here, man. We're not playing no games. They're playing games over there in Miami, man. They need some leaders in the locker room if it's not going to be Mike McDaniel. He's talking about how the fines aren't working with players coming late and all that. Bro, they don't respect you then. You know what I mean? Where else is this happening at? And why would you say that out loud? Like, that shit don't sound good on you. Nigga, you're the leader. The fines aren't working. Nigga, this ain't a therapy session. What's good with you? But yeah, the Bills carry. You just never know. Aaron Rodgers looked pretty good. I think Aaron Rodgers has like a lot of bad PR, but if he stays healthy, he still has some juice, man. He just can't scramble and improvise like he did in his prime. But above the shoulders, that football IQ, ball placement, Aaron Rodgers still Aaron Rodgers, just not below the waist. So, you never know. Maybe they make a jump. I think a couple weeks before the season started, they were the favorite to win the division for some reason. But I think this is the Bills division. I think this new revamped Bills is the worst we're going to see them. I think they'll be back as long as they don't let that game hang over their heads too much. It's going to be a long off season. But I believe in them. I believe in Josh Allen. And, if Sean McDermott, what do you do? What do you do? Do you switch it up? Do you switch it up with the coach? I don't know, man. All right. Next up, though, AFC North. Now, I know most people expect them to be higher, but I think that it's more top heavy than you may think. I think the Bengals bounce back, assuming they hit on these draft picks. We'll see what happens with Trey Hendrickson, if they could afford him, if they could afford T. Higgins and all that. Problem is their owner he's the poorest owner, right? So they're not big spenders over there. I think that's part of the reason why Zach Taylor still has a job over there. He's the offensive play caller, and this Bengals offense was crazy. Jamar Chase with the Triple Crown. If they made the playoffs, Joe Burrow is definitely MVP. And it was banking on that last game, Chiefs-Broncos, and the Chiefs sat everyone. I think it was like 37-0, and the Broncos needed to get into the playoffs and carry that positive momentum into that playoff game. So it was kind of curtains for them. But I said from week one, from week one when they lost that game to the Patriots. Yo, the league gave y'all an alley-oop. The league wants to see the Bengals be good. Joe Burrow beating Pat Mahomes, making it to the Super Bowl. He's a media darling, Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase, LSU receiver, top 2 receiver in the league. Like, these are the type of teams you want to see in the playoffs, not the Steelers just chugging along. And speaking of the Steelers, we got them here. We don't know what they're going to do at quarterback. Hearing that they're going to keep one of them. Just strange situation because it feels like they should have just came out with Justin Fields towards the end once Russell Wilson was looking mid, resorting back to his Denver days, but they decided not to do that. So what do they do there? You know what I mean? They keep drafting these like troublesome receivers. I don't really get what they're doing with receiver. Like, Mike Tomlin's always able to rein it in, but why just get a normal guy, man? Get a normal talented. They exist, bro. They exist. You go from Antonio Brown, which shout out to Vontaze Burfict for the CTE, the superpowered CTE hits that he put on him. But he went crazy, obviously. Juju doing TikToks. He's on the Chiefs doing his thing, though. And now you have George Pickens here crashing out. Deontay Johnson, he can't stay on a team, even though he's in good situations, going to playoff team. And he was on like 4 teams this year. Why? How do y'all keep getting these receivers, man? How's that possible? And you should have known George Pickens was going to be a problem after his draft video, the NBA young boy standing by the TV just looking unhinged and crazy. Man, get yourself another receiver and make sure everything's on the up and up. No more taking these dart throws at these receivers that are like talented but are head cases, man. It's weird. But we know the Steelers, man. They're probably going to be in the playoffs again. They're going to figure it out. They're a great regular season. They're built for the regular season. Once it gets cold and these defensive football games, run the ball, play defense, and you're scheming up for this team in week 10 and then week 11 and week 12. You're going team by team by team. Once it gets to the playoffs, you guys are cooked. But this is really about the Ravens and the Bengals. I think bouncing back, assuming the Bengals draft well with this where the Bengals are going to draft, unlike where they've been for the past couple of years since Joe Burrow really took over. They need to hit on that. Hit on your draft picks. Find a way to pay T. Higgins. Makes the offense unstoppable. I think they'd be – imagine if they got Tyler Warren. Whew, that would be dirty. Yeah, get like Tyler Warren. You have Gesicki there. He can't block for shit. But you have Tyler Warren there who's a pretty decent blocker from Penn State. And he was the entire offense over there at Penn State with Drew Aller, making Drew Aller look good. So let's see how Penn State's going to look moving forward. But obviously, the Ravens are carrying them. I know this past year, or these past few years, we've been looking at the AFC North as some world beaters, but I really think it's the Ravens, Bengals, and the Steelers just being fool's gold. And then the Browns are the Browns, bro. Browns are the Browns. Quarterback graveyard. There's a reason why Dion doesn't want his boy going there. Did Baker absolutely dirty. Now he's flourishing. You took on Deshaun Watson. Good luck with any quarterbacks getting fully guaranteed money moving forward because of y'all. They're the Browns, bro. And then if it wasn't for the Browns, or if it wasn't for how the Browns have operated over the past several decades, then they'd probably be higher on this list. But Ravens are carrying just like how the Bills are carrying the AFC East. So next up, we got the NFC West. Now with the NFC West, where should we start, man? I guess we can start with the Seahawks. So with the Seahawks, I think year 2, Mike McDonald, I think that defense is going to really start stepping up. I mean, you got Leonard Williams there, down with who'd they get in the first round? Byron Murphy? Yeah, Byron Murphy looking like a pretty good draft pick there. You have Witherspoon in the back. You have they called this guy Boy Genius for a reason. He was the DC for the Ravens when their defense was like the best part of their team outside Lamar Jackson. Now it's the running game with Derrick Henry's their identity, but that Ravens defense with McDonald was crazy, man. So I think he's going to do good stuff there. The question is Geno the guy? Geno's looking pretty good. Shout out to Mountaineers. I think JSN, fantasy wise and just overall production, he's going to take over, man. JSN is fucking nasty. So that combo with him and DK, and then you have Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet, and then if this defense could continue to step it up, I think the Seahawks could be a dark horse contender. So I really like what they're doing over there. Obviously, this division was neck and neck. I mean, I think it was even up to like week 15, 16 that it was all these teams are like one win away from being at the top of the division for a while. Now, for a while there, I had the Rams who had a slow start with all the injuries and whatnot coming back and winning it, which they did. And they were this close to being in an NFC championship. And this is why they're this high. There's just a lot of talent in this division. I like the head coaches in this division. All of them, actually. Sean McVay, Shanahan, Gannon. Now, when it comes to the Cardinals, though, Kyler Murray, he gets a lot of shit. I feel like a lot of it has to do, for one, that video game clause was crazy. They definitely did that to kind of flex on him a little bit. Like, we got to pay you, but, we're kind of reluctant. So we're just going to sneak this in there. And they took it out once it hit the media. So I think it was a media thing. And then, obviously, his last playoff game that we saw him in was a disaster. I think that's the year that it was against the Rams, and the Rams went on to win the Super Bowl, but terrible performance. But that was Jonathan Gannon's first year. Same with Shane Steichen, right? Part of the reason why the Eagles kind of collapsed after that last Super Bowl 57, was because they lost them to. And I believe in Jonathan Gannon just as much as I actually believe in him more than Shane Steichen. So, defensive head coach, and their defense played pretty well considering the talent. I mean, it's pretty much Buda Baker just kind of leading the forefront there. So, kind of similar to the Seahawks. If the defense could take a step up, they hit on their draft picks, and Kyler Murray could continue doing Kyler Murray-like things, and Marvin Harrison, he could connect with him a little bit better. Kind of seems like he disappears after the first quarter and the first half. And if they could get that connection better and improve the roster, this division is going to be a toss-up. And then you got the Niners, didn't make the playoffs. This is the first time in very long. Like, it has to get tiring to make the playoffs, get to the Super Bowl, get so far, and then nothing happens. Some of the spending has been questionable. They seem a little bit loyal to a fault, where they decided to pay Debo, and then they ended up paying Brandon Ayuk pretty late. He gets hurt. Ricky Pearsall looks straight. Paid Trent Williams late, he's well worth the money. Still a top 3 left tackle in this league. But yeah, it's really the Debo money. Paid for Christian McCaffrey, ran him into the ground. Shanahan loves running the ball. That's his whole thing. He ran him into the ground. Hopefully he bounces back. But yeah, it's really dependent on their health per usual. The Niners always have a serious injury bug. It hit them again this year. Brought Greenlaw back, re-injured. Kittle was out for a couple games, no McCaffrey, and then they got to running back like 4. So we just got to see with them, no Ayuk. So, I mean, if they're fully healthy, man, they're right in the mix of it again. They're right being Super Bowl contenders again. And it gets pretty difficult to rank these divisions at this point, because this is a top-tier division in my eyes in terms of how these how the front offices are ran in the NFC West, right? NFC West, yeah. And the quarterbacks, whether it's Matt Stafford, Brock Purdy's pretty good. I wouldn't worry about paying him right now. Show me again. You lost the Avengers. didn't look so well. A lot of costly interceptions, a lot of costly games that got you on this position where I think they won what, like 7, 8 games? Can't be 8. But still, don't have to pay Purdy right now. And then with the Seahawks, you have Geno. He's straight. He's good enough, I feel like. I mean, the thing with the quarterback position, people act like it's just so easy to replace guys. If you get rid of Geno, I know a lot of Seahawks fans, they want to move on from Geno, but what do you do with quarterback? You think it's just easy to find somebody to give you Geno production right now? No. So you got in your defensive head coach, play some defense, your skill positions, bussing. So I say keep it going with Geno, but yeah, this division is going to be interesting. I'd be tuned into these games in that 4 o'clock window, man. All right, third place, NFC. Oh, what's going on? Oh yeah, NFC East. Obviously, Jaden Daniels just jumps out on the screen. Eagles have been doing their thing for a while. I mean, best drafting team, well ran. I mean, the Eagles are going to be a problem for the next decade, the way they draft. And even with their young pieces right now, but fuck the young pieces right now, they just keep drafting or they keep taking advantage of these teams making dumb decisions during the draft, and they just collect and they just make good moves. So the Eagles, obviously, they're in the Super Bowl again. This is their third Super Bowl in like 10 years. So Eagles are going to be a problem. Washington, this is going to be the worst that the Commanders look. Hey, shout out to this Redskins logo. I know y'all about to do some redesign and shit. Bring the Redskins back, man. It's 2025. We're out of cancel culture. I'm hearing the Native Americans, they rock with the shit. I say just bring it back, bro. Bring back the Redskins, man. But Jaden Daniels is the story with them. Went crazy. They need a wide receiver too, even though Diami Brown was kind of putting the flag down as, I'm that guy. You need another guy. You might need another running back too. Another running back would be nice. And just load the roster up, draft well. But the new ownership there, I mean, shit, you get rid of Dan Snyder, worst owner in the league for some time, and then you immediately win 12 games. This is the worst the Commanders are going to look. I think this is a kick in the ass for the Cowboys and the Giants to do what it do. And speaking of the Cowboys will be back. They're in the same position as the Niners to me. This was like a retooling year. The last time they had similar draft position was when they got Micah Parsons. And when Micah Parsons was out and he came back in, you saw the impact that he made with this team and winning games. Now, I know they're getting a lot of shit for their coaching hire and how they do things, but that's Jerry Jones, man. What are you going to do with that guy, man? What are you going to do with Jerry Jones? But what we do know about them and what Schottenheimer is going to do, he's going to want to run the ball. So I think everything's heavily predicated on who they get at running back. Not sure if they're keeping Dowdle, but it's a stacked running back class. Don't pass up on running back again. I mean, they could have had Bucky. I mean, imagine Bucky Irvin in this offense. Imagine. I mean, the Cowboys are one of the best drafting teams as well. So I'm interested to see what they do with having, like, not being at the back of the draft. After winning going 12-5 for 3 years in a row, making the playoffs. Yeah, man, last time they got Micah Parsons, and that was a big deal. And I'm interested to see what they do there. You're probably surprised to see them this high, but man, the Eagles are in the Super Bowl. It was just Eagles Commanders in the NFC Championship, and then you have the Cowboys looming in, and it's a talented roster over there in Dallas, man. And I think Schottenheimer, he's going to do all right. I think it's going to be, I mean, when he was calling plays was Dak's best year production-wise. Now, obviously, since the injury, he's not as mobile, and that was part of the reason why he was so dynamic. But I do like who they just got at DC, Eberflus. Great hire, underrated hire. It's not being talked about enough, but I think the Cowboys are going to be really good. I think they bounce back just like the Niners bounce back, just like the Bengals bounce back. And then with the Giants, Giants were leading the league in sacks up until like week 10 or so. So if the defense isn't on the field all game because they're losing every game, keep the defense engaged. They spend all those assets, draft picks, paying the money for Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, best D tackle in the league. Then you have the Giants drafted real well. One of the best draft classes this past year. Obviously, leading as neighbors, but that was kind of a no-brainer pick. You have Drew Phillips there, amazing slot corner, great rookie campaign. Tyler Nubin, Deontay Banks, sophomore slump. Yeah, really promising rookie year. Add in another corner, get a quarterback, 6 years of Daniel Jones. And even in that 6 years with Daniel Jones, they won a playoff game 2 years ago. When the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, they beat a 13-win Vikings team. So all it takes is one offseason to get back. I think the NFC East is going to be super competitive. Next up, we have the NFC North. You probably expected them number one, huh? You probably expected the NFC North to be number one. Nah. Not after they all got bounced by the divisional. That's tough. Pour one up for the NFC North. But story with them is Ben Johnson joining the Bears. Obviously, he knows a lot about the NFC North, so that's going to be interesting. Can the Lions bounce back? Can they make the coaching hires after losing Ben Johnson to a division rival, losing Aaron Glenn to the Jets? I think they can. There's a reason why everyone's getting poached. So just do it again. You got a culture setter type head coach with Dan Campbell. This is what you signed up for. So you're going to have to keep doing it again unless you get a DC similar to the Chiefs where Spags isn't getting no head coaching jobs or which is why I like who the Bears – I haven't done this, but who did the Bears get? Bears defensive coordinator. Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen's not getting another head coaching job. So that's a great defensive hire, defensive head coach. Get one of those. Get another good play caller. You have all the weapons there. You have one of the best O-lines in the league. I don't think they win 15 games again. I think this was their best chance to win it. I think it was a devastating loss. I mean, they got blown out, man. But they also lost a lot of pieces on defense. Too many pieces between Carlton Davis, Aiden Hutchinson in the middle of the season. And then I'm losing the corner that really stepped up in their first game. Was it the first game? Really stepped up against the Vikings anyway in that Week 18 matchup to be the number one seed. Lost him in the beginning of the Commanders game. So, I mean, there's only so many guys to suit up. It was just a bad beat for them, but, the playoffs is a war of attrition, and it was unfortunate, but it's the NFL, man. Vikings, interested to see what they do at quarterback. Sam Darnold ended up seeing ghosts there at the end, kind of reverted back to the Sam Darnold we know and love, but, I mean, that's why they traded up that one spot to get J.J. McCarthy, right? Hopefully he makes his appearance. He was looking super skinny, like frail. I mean, he had a lower leg injury, so maybe he's not really able to do much in the weight room or whatnot. But get the weight up on him. Hopefully he's ready to go. The Vikings, I mean, Kevin O'Connell, great head coach. You got all the weapons over there with Jettas. You got Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson. Aaron Jones still has juice. That Brian Flores-led defense is going crazy. Vikings still going to be in the mix. And then with the Packers just do Packers shit, man. Packers are like a higher level, more modern day Steelers. Like they're always going to be in the mix. It's just, can we rein Jordan Love in? Because he's not Brett Favre, bro. He's not Brett Favre. He got to cut out the turnovers and the bullshit. And they also need to stop this like circle of friendship wide receiver bullshit that they got going on. Go get yourself a real wide receiver one. You know what I mean? They're really missing Devontae Adams, even though I'm not sure if he's prime Devontae Adams, but get yourself a wide receiver one, like an actual. You can't rely on Christian Watson. He's hurt every year. And then, bro, get yourself a wide receiver one, please, bro, please. I bet again, they're not going to go wide receiver in the first round. It's not a particularly deep wide receiver class, but still, you got to address that. You got to address that. Josh Jacobs, great year for him. Continue to lean on him and continue to add to this roster. You know, you got Xavier McKinney who balled out for you, ball hawk. Shout out to him from the Giants. He keeps talking shit. Like, shut up, man. Shut up. I fuck with you. But relax, man. Just move on. You're in a good spot over there in Green Bay. But yeah, this division is going to be a problem. And then, of course, Caleb Williams and the Bears. I never understood keeping Eberflus, lame duck head coach, for your rookie quarterback. But he has a chip on his shoulder because everyone's talking about Jaden Daniels. Everyone's like, well, it's Drake May. Well, Bo Nix. Well, it's like crazy quarterback class, man. And you were number one. So I think they're going to go crazy, though. They only had 4 draft picks last year. Caleb was one. Then they got Rome. I forget who they got with the 3rd pick, but their last pick was a punter, and that was it. They had 4 picks. So way more draft picks. I don't know how many, but, you know, shit. Get yourself an O-lineman. Their wide receiver core, I don't understand how they were so bad. It's just confusing. It's honestly super confusing, but I'm expecting big things from them. I'm liking, like I said, you got Dennis Allen there, DC. You got Ben Johnson there. He's going to be calling the plays. It's just really about roster construction, and I think, you know, give Caleb his confidence back. I think he has like a bounce back first year. It's kind of interesting, right? It's like the CJ Stroud, Bryce Young thing. Bryce Young goes number 1, shitty little year. CJ Stroud balls out. One of the best rookie quarterback seasons we've ever seen. Same thing happens again, except Jaden Daniels with the best rookie quarterback season we've ever seen. And then Bryce Young was looking all right towards the end of the year. I think that happens for Caleb Williams, but I think it's an immediate thing. Because if you watch Caleb Williams, and even if you look at his stats, you'd kind of be like, why is everybody talking shit about him? These stats look all right for a rookie season. It's just a lot of pressure on these quarterbacks nowadays to come out guns blazing because, for one, all the rules cater to the offense. You can't touch the quarterbacks. And then, you know, just the prep coming from when they're in like little leagues and Pop Warner through middle school, through high school. It's just we're expecting that there's no more sitting quarterbacks for 4 or 5 years and then pushing them out. So we're expecting a lot from them jumping out. But if you watch Caleb Williams, the talent is there. I think Bears fans got their guy, and I'm expecting a lot from him. It's going to be a tough division once again. I think this division is going to be a bloodbath once again. But I can't have them at the one spot given how they all kind of faltered in the playoffs like that, man. I just can't, bro. I just can't. But it's tough. Like, if you want to put them one, I get it, but I got to give it to the AFC West with the Kansas City Chiefs looking at 3-peat, 15-1. You go 15-1, 15-2. You lose that to the Broncos, which if it was a must-have game for the Chiefs and they play that game, do they lose to the Broncos there? Probably not. So I'm saying they're one real losses to the Bills, and you still have the Broncos and the Chargers make the playoffs. Crazy. I mean, this is probably the best like in terms of just straight up, you know, who the head coaches, easily the best now with Pete Carroll. As a Giants fan, big Antonio Pierce guy, won a Super Bowl with us, but you can't be pushing out Antonio Pierce dealing with Harbaugh, Sean Payton, and Andy Reid, bro. You just can't. I think Pete Carroll is a great hire. I mean, just the fact that he still wants to coach football is crazy. It's kind of amazing the love and passion for the sport that he has. But I think you just needed a guy to come in there, set the culture, and just have someone who really knows what he's doing, you can guarantee he knows what he's doing over there. Brock Bowers, just elite generational tight end. I mean, what a rookie year from him. If it wasn't for Jaden Daniels, shoe-in shit, you could argue they should be co-offensive rookie of the years. And then what else they got over there? They need to improve the running back position, maybe another wide receiver. But, I mean, if they add, like, let's say they add Ted McMillan, right? You have Ted McMillan, you have Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers, and you had a running back like Amarian Hampton, Scatterboo. You had something like that in like day 2, day 3. Hey, man. Raiders might make some noise, but they need a quarterback. AOC was looking pretty decent. You know, kind of he kind of played them out of getting one of these quarterbacks. But hey, maybe they go Jackson Dart. He's rising up boards. Kind of feels like this year's Bo Nix, where with Bo Nix, nobody was talking about him being a first-round pick until we got to the draft, and he was a top 15 pick. So I wouldn't be surprised if by the time we get to April, all the mocks have Jackson Dart going to the Raiders, and then you got your guy. And we've seen Pete Carroll, what he was able to do with Russell Wilson, who was like a third or maybe like fifth rounder at the time. So Pete Carroll, he's going to come in, lay down the law, run the ball defense. So they're going to draft catering to his philosophy, and I think that's going to do wonders for him. And I think the expectations are going to be pretty low given the division. So whoever is there at quarterback, it's going to be free flowing. They're just going to be playing free. Because what can you do? You know what I mean? Besides that, crazy season from Sean Payton and Bo Nix. Seems like he made the right decision booting Russell Wilson out. And he got his guy with Bo Nix. And it's only up from here. I mean, a lot of these teams, Commanders, who else? Is that it? No. A lot of these teams, though, this is the worst we're going to see them. Even the Bears, man. This is the worst we're going to see these teams. And Broncos is definitely on the top of the list for that, like, for the idea of that. You know, they add another receiver to go along with Cortland Sutton, get a nice little slot guy. Maybe they get their Bo Nix gets his guy Tez Johnson, Tez Walker. I'd be mixing them up. It's Tez Johnson, the Oregon guy, right? Tez Walker, I think, is already in the league. UNC, I think he played with Drake May. Yeah, Tez Johnson, you know, he's been leaving his mark on this week. Shrine Bowl, Senior Bowl, all that. So maybe reunite him with him, get a nice slot in there. Need another running back. You know, Sean Payton wants to run the ball. So, like I said, a lot of these teams, if they just add a running back, going to see a lot of elite play from them. And I think Bo Nix, they got a guy. You got an experienced quarterback. I think he has like the most snaps at quarterback in college football history. A lot of these players, because of the COVID year, they got the extra year. Even Michael Penix, Jaden Daniels. So I think Bo Nix is ready for the situation. I just think your rookie year, you're in a terrible cap situation. It's only up from here, and then you got the Chargers. I think Justin Herbert, he's getting his lumps, man. He's getting his lumps. Threw 4 picks in that playoff game, but I mean, look how hard they played the Chiefs. So is it all Justin Herbert, or should we give some credit to that Texans defense? You know, I think Justin Herbert's going to be fine. I just think, I mean, Lad McConkey had 190 and 15 catches, something crazy like that. So they need to add another receiver, and they knew that. They knew that going Joe Alt and getting rid of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, even though they're not in their primes anymore. So I think it was a pretty decent decision keeping Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. But once again, the Chargers, another team, this is the worst we're going to see them probably. And even though Justin Herbert had a disappointing outing in that playoff game, I think he's in good hands with Harbaugh. Just keep adding to that roster. It's going to be a tough division. And you kind of have to set your roster up to be able to beat the Chiefs. Number 1, 15-2. I really call it 15-1. But you got the Chiefs in this division, man. And once again, the head coaches, you have Reed, Payton, Harbaugh, and now you have Pete Carroll. To me, this is the number one division. It's going to be, I think it's going to be shit. I wouldn't be surprised if all three of these teams, Broncos, Chargers, Chiefs, make the playoffs again. Wouldn't be surprised one bit. And that's the rankings. And I'll be back probably after free agency pre-draft with another one. I did this before the Saints got their guy because who cares who they get at head coach? You know what I mean? There's a reason why they don't have a head coach yet because it's not a very attractive job. You don't have a quarterback. You don't have cap space. Your cap space is set up like you're in win now mode. Y'all been in win now mode for like 10 years. But yeah, I did this a little bit early. Thought it'd be a fun exercise, explore all the teams. But yeah, man, matter of fact, like and subscribe. Damn, it's just like an hour. I be yapping, man. Yeah, like and subscribe, man. Stop playing around. Matter of fact, we out.